Oh no! The Cubs ended up losing that game last night. Yes, the Cubs lost to the Padres 9-8 late night last night. Well, you might have been sleeping. Padres 9, Cubs 8. I'm being so dramatic because the Cubs blew what was an 8-0 lead. So I didn't think that this was the direction that I'd be going in this particular podcast, but we could mix some of what I thought actually, which still remains relevant. Some of the things I was thinking about the Cubs when they were up 8-0, as opposed to when they were down 8-0. But unfortunately, let's start with that because it's stunning. And the Padres stunned the Cubs with a 7-run, sixth inning, a little bit of guilt in a lot of different directions. Javier Assad allowing a 2-run homer to Jake Cronenworth to get this thing going. Mike Tauchman making an error on what was a triple. I don't know if they charged him with the 2 runs or not, but Xander Bogaerts with a 2-run homer in that frame against Luke Little. So he struggled a bit as well. So it was just a really rough 6th inning, but at one point it gets to 8-7. So it's 8-7. The other key part now at the end of the game, Adbert Alzolay, 5-out save is what he was being asked to perform. He enters with 1 on, 1 out in the 8th inning. Again, Cubs up 8-7 inning, facing Xander Bogaerts. He strikes him out swinging. Really dramatic moment. You know, Alzolay, who I don't think, obviously, Craig Counsell did not want to have to use the closer in this particular moment of the start of a 9-game series, but more on that in a second. But then he comes up, or Fernando Tatis comes up to the plate. Alzolay on one of the pitches basically brushes him back. A big enthusiastic crowd is out there booing. Tatis looked none too pleased. And then on the next pitch, Fernando Tatis blasts away a 2-run homer, ultimately stunning the Cubs as the Padres do beat the Cubs by a final score of 9-8. So that's how it broke down. And that's how you can see that it's not what we thought we would be talking about if you happen to be watching this, or especially if you were not able to stay up and watch it or listen to it right here on the score. And like I said, this is not good for the start of the series because, as they were saying in the broadcast, like, you were banking this win at some point. When it's 8-0, it's the middle to the latter portion of the game. You could start to think about banking that particular game, and that gets spoiled. The other part is that you used both of your, at least in theory, your back end bullpen guys for this season, Hector Neris and Adbert Alzolay. I say in theory because I think we're still trying to get Hector Neris on the right footing. I feel like so far this year for the Cubs, taking a look at it, Neris, it looked like this might be. Well, maybe you could say it is. Maybe you could say this was a good outing for Hector Neris. He had been struggling, like I said, this season. He enters in the 7th inning. The Padres have first and second with 1 out. The Cubs clinging to the 1-run lead, 8-7. Neris gives up 2 absolute rocket shot outs that were right at people. You take them, but you also have to take that into account. But he held it. Thumbs up to him for that. But he then comes back in the 7th inning, who walked a guy with 1 out, and that's when Alzolay entered into the game. So I felt like there was some encouragement just relative to his previous appearances in this game for Hector Neris. But the fact that the ball, that they were scalded, those balls. I mean, if you watch, this is one of those times where you could look at the box score, but you could also trust me when I tell you that he gave up some scalding balls in those spots. And then the walk, and here comes Alzolay, forced into a situation where he's got to go for the 5-out save, which he ultimately did not yet, as the Padres do beat the Cubs by the final score of 9-8. The Cubs, the good for the Cubs, 8 runs should be plenty to win. So I've got no issues with what the offense did, and their approach at the plate is beginning to really feel legitimate. Like we've been hearing it, the whispers, you could watch it and you can see it, that they're working the counts. They are forcing walks, 2-out hitting. Ian Happ in this game worked a full count in the second before whacking a 2-run single. It felt like that was going to be enough for the night. They forced a bunch of walks in this game again, but the approach at the plate has just been really good for the Cubs. And I'm going to say in particular, in the 4th inning, the Cubs loaded the bases with 1 out. Cody Bellinger with a sac fly, 5-0 Cubs. That reunion has been so spot on so far, by the way. 2 outs then, 2-out hitting, like I was saying. For example, Christopher Morel with a 2-out RBI double. Dansby Swanson, 2-out RBI triple. It's 6-0, just like that. So, man, I mean, Cubs offense looks really good early on in the season. And I don't know. I should go back and look, but it feels like it's been forever since the Cubs have had a strong offensive start to a season where game after game they were piling up runs, and that's what they've been doing lately. So it's really comforting that the offense continues to do that. And obviously the offense was let down tonight by errors, by pitching, by the whole thing. So yeah, it was a rough one. Another guy I was thinking about here, just looking through the notes. Yu Darvish. It's always interesting to think about Yu Darvish when he's here. Yu Darvish tonight started. The Cubs did a lot of that damage against Yu Darvish, who goes 3 innings, allowed 4 runs on 4 hits, struck out 4, walked 3, and it felt very familiar. It felt like 2019 Yu Darvish when he was with the Cubs and he was wild and he allowed 33 home runs on the season. That was him. And then he was terrific during the pandemic. And then he was traded along with Victor Caratini to the San Diego Padres for, it was Zach Davies, Owen Casey, Ronaldo Preciado, who is a shortstop at Myrtle Beach currently. Yason Santana, also a shortstop at Myrtle Beach. And Ismael Mena, a center fielder who is at Myrtle Beach. So some of the guys that were traded away in that deal are beginning to grow up. So I always like that fusion, or the history on Yu Darvish, the controversial history. It's too bad. It's too bad because it was just getting good with Darvish when they let him go, and it was one of those trades. That's why I mentioned the guys involved in it, that I was furious at the time for sure, because it just felt like they were dumping him. And now, I mean, the Cubs may not still have gotten the best out of that, but at least these guys are still there. And Owen Casey is a guy that you're probably going to see on the big league roster with the Cubs at some point in time this season. So that's the Yu Darvish factor. Checking to see if there's anything else here in the Cubs notes.
As you look for that, I can share with you, Mark Grote, a Christopher Kamka, the stat guy for Marquee Sports Network.
I'm honored to have Chris Kamka,
nugget of the night. Yeah, the note is, prior to tonight, last time Cubs had an 8+ run lead and lost, June 28th, 2002, at the White Sox, led 8-0, lost 13-9.
Oh, man.
It's been quite a while since the Cubs have blown it to this degree.
Oh, wow. So it's sports epic, I think I would put it down as. The other thing I want to talk about, because it felt like this was hours and hours and hours ago, and if you're listening to this, it was, but as we record, we're still in stunned mode. Javier Assad was the other guy I wanted to talk about because he started the game. He goes 5 innings, allowed 2 runs on 3 hits, walked 3, ended up striking out 7 in the game. So a pretty good performance for him. He did end up giving up a 2-run homer to Jake Cronenworth in the 6th inning. So he was actually out there in the 6th inning, but did not record an out. And we all wondered. I mean, watching the broadcast too last night, everybody wondering out loud if he would come out for the 6th inning. Got our answer. He came out, but did not end up recording an out in the 6th inning. So that was a start for Javier Assad. But the Cubs, no other way to put it. Cubs blew one last night. They lose to the Padres 9-8. Let an 8-run lead get away from them. See if the Cubs can rebound today against the Padres. That is going to do it for the Daily Score. And thank you all for watching. I appreciate it.